not very good at the 3-minute consult. It takes me 3 minutes just to say hi to the cat and another 10 minutes to get a proper history. So that is doing vet med that way, the fast and the furious. It does not fill my cup. I love what I do and I really want to be good at it and I want to be thorough. So it really works for me. I love it.
Hi guys, and welcome to the House Call Vet Cafe podcast. I'm Dr. Eve Harrison. I'm a full-time integrative concierge house call veterinarian in Los Angeles, and I help other vets to build their unique mobile practices on their terms. This podcast is for and by house call and mobile veterinarians, so it is meant to give our community a platform to connect, to share our stories, to lift each other up, and to support each other. Most of us work solo as lone wolves, right? So for me, it's been really powerful to be able to physically hear the voices of my colleagues from all over the world and to get a chance to feel that we truly are part of a community of very real other human beings who get it. While you may be alone in that little bubble of your own vehicle when you're on the road seeing patients, I welcome you to join our community by tuning into our own podcast when you're on your way to your next house call. Whether you're a super experienced house call vet with 30 years of experience, you're a brand new prospective house call vet just looking to get started, or you're house call curious, there will be something for you in this podcast. Each episode, you will hear interviews from other mobile veterinarians just like yourself who are doing unique and innovative things, vets who are sharing their stories, their struggles and challenges, and you can also look forward to hearing valuable information and perspectives from specialists and experts outside of our micro niche. And finally, if becoming a house call veterinarian is something that you've been thinking about exploring, or you're looking for some extra support getting your own mobile practice to feel more profitable and sustainable for you, check out the information in the show notes about my course and our above and beyond supportive private community for members only, plus our monthly group coaching sessions within the House Call Vet Academy. You can also check out my free public Facebook group, which is also called the House Call Vet Cafe, the same name as this podcast, and which is a warm and cozy community for mobile vets to support each other in professional and personal development, in creative entrepreneurship, and in friendship. So thank you guys for spending time with me today. Let's dive into the episode. Hey everyone, we have an awesome guest with us today. We have Dr. Chantal Celindano, who I've been stalking on Instagram for a little while. Dr. Chantal is your regulation crazy cat lady, as it says on her website. She is a mobile cat and kitten vet servicing West Brisbane and surrounding suburbs in Australia. Dr. Chantal studied veterinary medicine and surgery at the University of Queensland, graduating nearly 20 years ago before practicing at small animal clinics in Brisbane and the UK, Brisbane. She has worked at cat clinics there, Sydney, Melbourne, and London, as well as furthering her education with a membership in cat medicine, which involves passing rigorous testing on a written and practical level equivalent of a master's degree. She also has a passion for cat behavior and has completed her advanced certificate in feline behavior with the ISFM, which is the International Society of Feline Medicine, of which she is a certified advanced practitioner. Feline Fine Mobile Vet is a small family-owned business founded by Dr. Chantal out of a desire to provide the best possible healthcare and behavioral assessments for cats of all ages. Her practice offers an exclusive focus on cats, longer consultations, and expertise in cat health. As her website says, "We speak cat!" ! I love that so much. And when she's not studying or examining or dreaming of cats, she can be found training up her mini-me Vivi or relaxing with her Tonkinese rescue cat, Mako Nugatini. Hey, Chantal, welcome. Did I pronounce everything properly?
Very good. Yes. Vivica, Miss Vivi, and Mako Nugatini. We don't have any easy to say names in this family. We like to just, even though Mako came to us with one name, Mako, we should add on something just to confuse people. I think it's just a family tradition now.
That's the way to go. That's the way to go. And just before we hopped on the call, you were telling me like your family has like a really interesting multicultural background. So you were saying your mom's side is from one area of the world, your dad's side from another, and your daughter is like trying to decide between wearing a sari or carrying a pizza. That just like really cracked me up. Can you tell me a little bit like where's your family from?
Well, I guess in the vein of being truly multicultural Australian, my mom was originally from Malaysia and my dad from Sri Lanka. And when they were teenagers, they kind of ran away from home. And they met in the UK. So they're in London. That's where they had me. And then we moved to Australia. My husband's dad's from Sicily. His dad kind of did the similar thing and ran away to the UK. And his mum's from Brisbane. And that's how we find ourselves in Brisbane. But yeah, my daughter has, at school, we have multicultural day here. And she's just always perplexed. She's just looking at her wardrobe and her dress ups. And she's like, what do I go with? Like, she's got a great grandma who's Chinese. She's got a great granddad who's Indian. She's got everything. So yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. She sounds like a marvelous human being, as I know you are as well. So thank you for giving me like a little mini crash course on like your family history, because I just thought that was really, really interesting. And like, I wasn't really planning to ask about that, but I did. So before we get into the part of your story about how you became a house call vet, I wanted to first ask the question that I always ask, which is, what is your favorite snack to eat in the car when you're on the way to your house calls?
Oh my gosh, I should have prepared like a fake answer that didn't reveal the filth that I ingest on a daily basis, Eve, because it's terrible. So at one point, I was in a car with someone, not when I was house call vetting, but I did have a previous life where I worked for a drug company. And so I would do some training with their reps. And part of that was being on the road. And one of them, Jody, who's still my dear friend today, like a long time later, like over a decade, there's just a running joke that if we see the Golden Arches, there's going to be a nug stop. Okay. Like it's nuggets for life. So I will say to this day, I still will have to stop and get a quick little chicken nugget meal on my way to the next concert, just like bulk chocolate. Every now and then I will have like a biscuit, those ones where we call them here like squished fly biscuits, which I didn't realize how gross that is until I just said it, but it's like got sultanas in it and then kind of like this crispy bread. And that's my idea of health food. Okay. That's as close as I come. It's shameful. I literally do a blood glucose on myself once every 6 months just because I know diabetes, it's coming for me, Eve. It's just when.
That's absolutely hilarious. And I subscribe. I should be doing the same thing because I have like a massive sweet tooth. Like I eat, oh God, like, yeah, ice cream, gummy bears, like, oh yeah. So I relate to, and I'm sort of just like, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when the diabetes hits, it's like, oh shit, here we go. That's so funny.
Oh, that's good company then. But every now and then, like I do a couple of days in clinic and then a couple of days on the road. And like yesterday, lovely clinic. And the nurses are like, I'll make you a cup of tea. And it's always really, I'm like, I don't want to trouble you, but also I don't want to disclose that there's 3 sugars in that thing. Like it's just a vehicle for sugar. Okay. You literally just show the tea, the hot water, the tea bag, and then you just dump that sugar in. I'm like, it's fine. I'll do it myself until they know me better.
So funny. Oh my God, I love it. Ah. Okay, so now tell me. So you're obviously a very interesting person with an awesome sense of humor and a real vision. Like you're obviously also like a creative and artistic person. So I'm kind of curious, like how all of that led you to house call practice, working with cats, and yeah, just would like to explore that aspect of your story a little bit.
It's a really windy road. I'll start by saying I'm like most glorious veterinarians who have this vision of their life from 4 years of age. My kid's got it, 18 months old, only thing she's ever wanted to be. We're like, no, go and be an investment banker, be a lawyer, do something. Mommy needs to retire. No. But no, we'll support her. She loves, but I did. I loved animals. And I never really considered being a veterinarian. And then I was doing biochemistry. I really love science and I was going to change my course to biotech. And apparently I can't read course codes. So I went left instead of right. And then I get the letter saying I've been accepted into vet school. And I went, that's funny because I didn't apply. It turns out I did. I just put the wrong course code in. And they said, just come along to see if it gelled with you. They did offer me like free alcohol on that initial day. And I think that probably just cemented the deal. I was like, great, there's rum and cows. what's not to love about this day? And so I kind of fell into vet medicine in a way, but I don't think there's anything else I would want to be in. I went through the vet degree. I loved it, but I don't know about what it's like in the States. But after the 5 years, I felt like I knew about how to do spinal surgery in a dog, how to do a cesarean in a cow. I knew all of this stuff. And then there was a sentence about cats. Like it was like, oh, yeah, yeah. And in cats, blah, 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 blah. But what? And so I graduated and I was like, I didn't even know what IBD in cats was. I mean, how many cats have that? And, they're obligate carnivores. And don't even get me started with the lack of behavior information I had. So I went straight into doing an internship at a local cat clinic here. And that was really eye-opening. Like it was a bit of a baptism by fire because, you were there for like 72 hours at a time. But I learned so much. And it was a case of the more you know, you don't know. So it kind of whet my appetite. And then after that, I mean, the circuitous trip to hospital land, but I didn't even know that hospitals were a thing, honestly, for so long. It was just, you have this path and you go and work in a clinic. And I worked at a few places. There was this lovely old gents at the Gold Coast, which is about an hour and a half south of Brisbane where I live. And it's beautiful, beachy vibe. One looks ridiculously perfect, so I could never live there. But it's this guy, he was amazing. He just had this old converted house by the beach. And he knew everyone. He was a proper member of the community in that he saw, old Joe and Joe's grandkids, and he knew about, oh, how's the daughter at uni and blah, blah, blah. It was just that, appointments. People came in, had a chat with Andrew, and he took care of the animals. And he had these Bromsmara cattle, and he used to love those, but he just, it's a bit of all sorts. And I love that vibe that you could really connect with people. And it was slow medicine, that was not, you took a moment, you never rushed the pet. And I really loved that. And then I did the thing where I was like, I'm going to go see the world. So I went to the UK and I worked at a lot of clinics there. That was a new thing for me because corporate clinics weren't really a thing in Australia. Now I went to the UK and corporate clinics were a thing. And so I kind of bounced around a little bit, traveled a lot. And then when I came back to Brisbane, corporate clinics were a thing. And so unbeknownst to me, Andrew was trying to get in contact with me to sell and he couldn't find me. So that little clinic, it kind of got engulfed in the big, busy world. And I was a bit lost at that point. And we worked, I do this thing with my family, and I digress a little bit here, where my daughter just realized at 10 years old, when she talked to her friends about family holidays, every 2 years we have a holiday. And as a family, the three of us will go and we'll try to meet with our UK family because we both have family in the UK. And it's based around a cat conference. I'm not even joking. It's wherever ISFM have their congress. That is where our family holiday will be. So my daughter will pack her cat dresses and she'll be at breakfast with all the cat vets wearing her best cat outfits. And then she started talking to friends and she was like, what do you mean you don't go to a cat conference for your family holidays? No, it's not a thing. I'm like, oh, sweetie, honey, I'm sorry. You have a different life to your friends in some ways. So yeah, I dragged the whole family back to the UK for a couple of years so I could work at the cat clinic there, which was amazing. It was a sole charge. Sleep there overnight if you've got a patient in hospital, really hands-on and really kind of thinking about the behavior side of things with cats because they were all over that. And that set me down the path of wanting to do more study. So for like 15 years, I've been writing a textbook. It's for me. And it's literally like 200 pages on gastroenterology in cats, 150 pages on dermatology. So I've got about 12 volumes. And I carried it's terrible. I should really have it on an iPad because it's going to do a disc one day. I carry around this like 10 kilos of security blanket with me. But so I did my membership in Feline Medicine and that was amazing. And now I mentor people to pass their tests. And I love that. And then I did my behavior certificate. And now I just want to do more behavior because it's just, you don't even think about these things. And that kind of set me on the path of house calling because I get people to take videos of their cats, their movements. You get them in a clinic and it's very timed. You've got 15 minutes, your 20 minutes if you're lucky. The cat's not roaming around in that time. They're generally sitting at the base of the carrier, just wanting to not be there. Or you've spent 5 minutes cleaning up their vomit, the diarrhea, all of the things for triple threat, the urine as well. And I started just going to people's homes on my days off and going, let me just, my favorite cats. And there were different cats, obviously. And I was like, oh, yeah, she's got a limp, or that litter tray is too small, just identifying all these issues. And then I got to thinking, we see cats as kittens. We give them their kitten course. Then we see them when they're 17 and they've got like comorbidities up the wazoo, but we don't see them in between. We don't do any preventative work. Why is that? Why are we seeing dogs all the time? Because you can walk a dog into a clinic, but it's a whole process to get a cat into a carrier, into the car, into the clinic. And they're so secretive about things. They're predator, they're prey. They're not going to show you when they're ill. They're not going to be limping like a dog. So I toyed with the idea of doing house calls more formally for a couple of years. And then randomly, there was this lovely vet at the Gold Coast again, and she set up a fairly new mobile practice, Gold Coast Mobile Vet. She's amazing. And she needed someone to cover her for a week around Christmas. She's got 2 little kids. And she's like, can someone do it? I went, I'll give it a go. And it was amazing. I mean, she's really organized. She's got a giant van. She sees dogs and cats and everything in between. And I said to her, could you give me some pointers? Because I'd like to do this on a small scale just for cats. And she was really helpful. So that's kind of how it started.
Amazing. When did you get started? I feel like when I was looking through my inbox to like make sure I had your email address for this, I was like, oh my God, we actually spoke in 2022. I think when you were getting started, we had briefly spoken at that time, and you must have gotten started shortly thereafter. Is that right?
I think it's been 2 years or so. Yeah, about that.
Amazing. Yeah, look at you now. Oh my God.
I still haven't done any advertising, to be honest. It's all word of mouth. Quite nice that way because it's a very small client base, but intense. So it just is self-selecting in a way. I get a lot of referral cases and just having the time. I like to have at least an hour per cat to look at all the history as well beforehand. So the hour is just with the cat and with the owner. And then I'll probably do a half an hour at least reading all the history, getting a timeline, puzzle pieces, and then seeing the cat and then putting all the pieces together. And sometimes it's like, there's a bit of info here, a bit of info there. And then you look at the cat and you're like, you know what? I think I know what's wrong. And it's amazing to be able to fix some of these long-term cases. Cats have been vomiting for 10 years or just, peeing inappropriately, trying to tell you something. And then you walk into the house and you're like, oh, I could fix this. And it's such a good feeling.
Yeah, it's such a joy. I love that sort of organic process where you almost had a craving for what turned out to be house call medicine. Like you reference slow medicine. Like I talk about slow medicine a lot. And I think that is the house call paradigm. And you had been craving that. And then it was just a matter of time before like it found you. And then you were able to develop your own like unique brand of following your passions and providing for the animals that you saw as needing a little bit extra love. And I mean, it really is true. Like getting a cat into a carrier and bring them into the clinic is like literally the worst thing that could possibly exist. Like I'm so spoiled right now. Like my cat needs some dental work. Like she had some dental work with another house call vet in the area who's been on the show, Daniela Castillo. She's wonderful, absolutely wonderful vet. And like she went through the house call vet academy and like now has her own van. And I had her come and like do the dental cleaning for my cat. And she found like a little mass and then the mass grew back because it's actually a malocclusive thing. So we need to get some teeth removed and stuff. But like she came and it was so good just getting her in the carrier, pain in the ass, but then like not having to drive her for another like 30 minutes. I was like, oh, this is a million times better. But even so, like getting in the carrier, what a mess. And then now I got to probably bring her to like an oral surgeon. I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. So, I mean, I'm so spoiled right now. Like, I don't think animals should ever go in a carrier, ever go into the vet. So I don't know. That's just, I mean, obviously I don't think they shouldn't ever because I'm going to bring my own cat into oral surgeon. But I mean, it's such an ordeal. It's such an ordeal. And like, especially cats. And so I think it's really great what you do. And I'm curious, like, do you ever feel like you had mentioned you're not doing marketing and it's all word of mouth? And I think that's a very, very natural way for a house call practice to form. And also that sort of self-selecting type of client and self-selecting type of patient, as you mentioned. And to me, I sort of like, I guess, wondering I imagine you have like sufficient numbers of patients and people like interested all the time. Do you ever find, given your limited scope of practice, that you're struggling with that? Or is it just sort of like, no, the cats find you?
Now, initially, for the first 6 months, I was a little bit worried because I went, I'm getting like a cat a week. I mean, I still have my day job in clinic, but I phased the days down. So, now I just do one day at one clinic, like Tuesdays at one, Wednesdays at another in different locations, which is good to have a base to do surgeries in as well for my patients. But at the time, I was like, I can never not work full time in clinic. This is ridiculous. I don't know how to market myself or anything. And then it was just in the background for cats that I know pretty much. And then all of a sudden, there was just this flurry of people. We want to see you. We saw you once when you were locoming at this random place and we Googled you. You've got a website now. And not everyone's cup of tea, as you've spoken about, but you do you and you do what you're passionate about. And I think people find you in a way. And I think one day I'll expand to always have a nurse with me, or my husband does that. He did business at uni when we went there together. And I am the bane of his existence with this mobile practice because I'm like, oh yeah, I don't really spreadsheets. So if you could just do all of the background, getting paid, yeah, sort all that stuff out. And then I will just do me. And so he's like, oh my God, you really have to have a proper model at some point if we get any busier because it's a lot. But I'm lucky in that I have such a big network of amazing vet nurses as well, some of which aren't vet nurses anymore. They're human nurses or, they've gone into other things, but I can call on them like on Monday. I've got 3 cats that need blood. Sometimes I can do blood collection by myself. These 3 no. So I have this wonderful vet nurse friend, Shireen, who's managed to get a day off when I need her, and she's going to come on the road with me. There will be McDonald's involved. And then Brittany, Nicole, I've just got this lovely network of vet nurses who'll be like, yeah, let's have lunch and also see some cats. Sounds like a good time. So yeah, it's kind of organic. And sometimes, I will get a call and they'll be like, yeah, I found you. Can you come and vaccinate my cat? And I'll go, great. This is the price. And I'll go, you know what? I can go down to my local corporate and it's like half that price. Like, that's cool. You can do that, but it will be 10 minutes, not an hour. You won't have a written report at the end. You won't be able to have that open dialogue. You'll have to transport your cat. You won't get a behavior assessment. You won't get an environmental assessment. You won't get all the handouts with you. And that's okay. If that's not what you're looking for, go on, find your fit. But this is what I do. And I'm not very good at the 3-minute consult. It takes me 3 minutes just to say hi to the cat and another 10 minutes to get a proper history. So that is doing vet med that way, the fast and the furious. It does not fill my cup. I love what I do and I really want to be good at it and I want to be thorough. So it really works for me. I love it.
Oh, that's so good. I relate so much to that. I'm like, yeah, 3 minutes just for me to take the stuff out of my bag when I get there. Like I haven't even done anything in 3 minutes. And like, I think people like us who love what we do, who want to love what we do and really enjoy it and just like, this is our one and only life. Why not do a beautiful job showing what we're doing and like shower our patients and clients and the love and care that we have? And so it's just like such a beautiful modality that we're able to do that for people who are interested in that type of thing, which I think many, many of us are, but we're just kind of forced into this sort of like factory style conveyor belt type of medicine, right? So, I love that you found that and that you're offering that. And I also really love how you convey your value. You're like, you can do that and good for you if that's what you want. Like, this sort of like positive regard for whatever their decision is. But it's like, just so you know, should you decide to go with me, this is what you get. And that's pretty awesome. So I really like how you said that. I think that's really cool.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Lau. I'm the founder of O3 Vets. One of the challenges of being a mobile veterinarian is that you have a more limited toolbox to draw from. At O3 Vets, we put a powerful tool into your toolbox by providing ozone therapy equipment designed specifically to help the mobile veterinarian treat those tough cases. Ozone works as a redox molecule to help decrease inflammation and improve cellular communication. This has an incredibly beneficial effect on a variety of conditions, as demonstrated through the hundreds of scientific studies available. If you would like to join thousands of veterinarians who've experienced the power of ozone therapy, you can visit o3vets.com or call us at 517-925-8148. If you mention this ad, you'll get access to our online training course with the purchase of your ozone equipment.
I wanted to pivot just a little bit and talk a little bit about behavior. So I know you're really passionate about behavior in cats. Do you have anything you want to say about that in general? Kind of open-ended question here.
I would say that it is such an untapped resource, and I'm guilty of it myself. Like, I did the ISFM diploma, and it was 2 years, and every day I learned something. I'm just watching my cat and going, I don't think I've ever thought about your tail position before. Watching cats recover from anesthetic and go, oh, look at your ears, and let's look at the Glasgow pain scale. Like, there are lots of things I never really. I guess it's so busy. Really, it's a busy job. And you don't have it ingrained in your model when we graduate. There's only so much they can shove in those years. But I feel like after those 2 years, I've only touched like the tip of the iceberg, and I've got all these books, and I want to do so much more reading about it. But it's amazing once you start looking into it, and it's simple little things, and it's amazing how much behavior can influence what we think is a medical condition, and quality of life and palliative care, and just trying to think like a cat. That cat's not going to tell you that litter tray is too small. It's stepping in its own wee when it's trying to turn around, and it's just going to go and do something to try to get your attention to say, hey guys, this is not great. Or it's going to get some kind of medical disease because it's going to stop trying to, urinate when it wants to. Hold on, or. So it's amazing that sometimes we as clinicians will look at the medical side of things and numbers and facts and results, but cats are their own little entity, and they're not obvious at all about anything. They're just so subtle, and we're just picking up what they're putting down half of the time. So the behaviors, I use it in every consult now. And I think, like I said, I feel like I'm a novice still after years and years of study into cat behavior. But I think it's so important. And I apologize to even my cat. My old cat passed. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even consider behavior. 17 years of owning you, but we can only move forward. But it's really changed the way I practice.
That's absolutely amazing. It reminds me of, two things. When I think about Marigold, that my current house call practice is named after, she passed away now like 5-6 years ago, something like that. And every time I learn things, especially kind of in the holistic world, I'm like, oh, I never gave her that. I didn't know. I wish I had. And so I understand that feeling really well. And I have that same sort of like lament, And then I guess I also wanted to say that as you were speaking, I was thinking of, I have a naturopathic doctor that I see for myself, maybe in the last like couple of years or so. And she's probably the best doctor I've ever had. She's like really well-versed in all the physical stuff. Like she knows Western medicine, but part of her paradigm of what constitutes health for a human being is like the physical body, also the emotional and the mental, behavioral, and spiritual as well. Like she's like true holistic. And I think that we as doctors, like the best doctors, are really truly seeing things in a holistic way. I don't mean like it has to be holistic in terms of like acupuncture or herbs, like that, those are modalities, but the holistic mindset and paradigm of what all goes into the health and well-being of an animal, whether it's human, feline. So I just like love that you had that experience of understanding how pervasive something like behavior and the emotions a cat may be experiencing really, really contribute to your understanding and ability to, assist in their health. So I think that's really cool.
It is amazing. You stop and think of it, and you find a human doctor, like you said, who will address like the nutrition, the Eastern, Western, all of the medicine and all the different aspects of it to help you as a whole. And I feel that with all animals, just like you said, it's really important. And I think a lot of people hear the word holistic and they're like, oh, I don't understand Eastern medicine. But I would love to know more about acupuncture. And we've got some great vets locally here that have a wealth of information. And I feel I need 3 or 4 more lifetimes to be able to learn everything, to be a really good cat vet. But holistic in the sense that You just want to look at all aspects to make this cat's life better. And it'll work so well.
Love it. Okay, so now I'm going to shift into a little bit more like logistics stuff. Do you have any sort of favorite inventory items that you use for specifically working with cats? Like, for example, I'm just going to like brain dump a little bit. When I work with cats, I have like peel away spray, I have catnip, I bring Silvervine with me. I have like playlists, like feline music playlists, and I also use the Cat Acoustics box that's like feline specific. And of course, there's a Calm Cozy cat. Do you have any like favorites of like items and like things that you use specifically for cats?
Wow, the Calm and Cozy. Oh my goodness. A friend of mine, vet nurse as well, she was at a conference in the States. And so she actually brought me to there and brought them back for me. And they have just changed my life. Being, on the road by myself predominantly, and sometimes just need another pair of hands. I feel like Calm and Cozy kind of does that for me a lot of the time. I am a shameless crazy cat lady. So my car is tiny. It's a mini. The plates are Dr. Meow. Everything in it is cat themed. The bin is cat themed. I have like this storage trolley. It's for little old ladies. It's from a hobby store and it's supposed to be for scrapbooking, but it's covered in cat. So I don't know if that helps me. It helps my mental health because I'm like, oh my God, how cute is my day? Baby scales. Unfortunately, everything I bought then 6 months later came out in pink. So I had to buy a pink version, which my husband's kind of the kibosh on that a little bit. He's like, just wait till something breaks, then buy the pink. I'm like, dude, I need the pink. Okay. I have a theme. The Calm Cozy is fantastic. I use a lot of, treat persuasion. So having tiny little shallow dishes, one per cat. And I buy a lot of affection to get blood tests and lots of things like that. So making sure I have a lot of fish-free treats because there's a lot of cats with fish allergies out there and they may not know it. But what else do I do apart from just being over the top with all of the little bits and bobs I buy? But yeah, I have a towel per cat that's pre-sprayed at the start of the day in Feliway. So every cat gets that and they sit on that. When I come to their house, I unpack my little bag of things. I let them have a smell of everything. Then we just do it in little bites. So, have a treat to get their weight, have a treat to auscultate, blah, blah, blah. By the end of it, they're just up to the eyeballs full of food. I might maybe go light with lunch or dinner because we've had four treats yet. But yeah, I love, I think the Calm and Cozy is my most favorite thing. I've got tiny things. So I think I really like looking at retinas with cats and doing Doppler blood testing. It's not the easiest thing to do, but I find that it's pretty accurate with cats. Once you get it, you've got it, you can hear it, it's a real reading. So I do a lot of Dopplers. I also look at a lot of retinas with an indirect lens, so 20 diopter, strong light source. And I feel you can just really, without putting your face right up to them, if they don't know you, you can just hold this lens near them and then stand away and get a really good idea. If you do need to go ahead and take a blood pressure, oh yeah, that retina looks a bit scary. Let's look at the blood pressure, if they're kind of on the fence about, do I really need to get this done? So yeah, I find that with cats, I don't have a lot of toys. I'd love to have a ton of pen, but that's on my wish list. I just went to the ISFM Congress and it was ophthalmology based. So now I'm like, more toys. I need more toys. But yeah, just having those few things. So that's why I can fit everything in a very small hatchback because it's all cat sized.
Yeah.
But sometimes you want a big here to scoop up the cat and put them in the Calm and Cozy without having to physically touch them and if they're a bit scared. Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, I like that idea of having the towel and then transferring them into the Calm Cozy. That's cool. And I love that you like pre-sprayed the towels with Feline. That's awesome. That's a great tip.
Yeah, because I rarely remember 15 minutes before I need it. So first thing in the morning, I'm like, okay, I've got 4 cats, 4 towels. They're all pre-sprayed. Let's go.
Yep.
I give myself an asthma attack with all the Feliway. Treat told. I'm like,
That's really funny. Oh my God.
choose something loud. The easy life chose me.
All right. So now I want to ask you, what's one piece of advice that you might have for our listeners, either about, something you'd like people to know about you, or something about working with cats, or starting a mobile practice, or parenting while mobile practicing? Got any little tidbits of advice?
Yeah, I think a lot has already been said on your podcasts and on your Facebook chats, but being true to yourself, starting how you want to finish. I think as vets, we're very empathetic. We make every problem our problem. Oh, you can only do midnight on a Saturday. Well, I have to make it work. No, if you don't want to work Saturdays, don't work Saturdays. Try to, I think I'm a bit guilty. When people say to me, what are your hobbies? I'm like, studying about cats. Oh, what do you do for like further education? Study about cats. What's your job? Studying about cats. I'm quite one dimensional. And unfortunately, that's not the healthiest thing in the world. So I think having another hobby, which I'm trying to work on, but so far I keep gravitating towards hobbies with cats. With, yeah, being a mom, I think doing house calls is really a great way to have more balance in life. I don't know what it's like in the States, but like on my 2 days I work in clinic, I kind of get up and go before my kid goes to school. I come home and she's ready for bed. And when I worked, longer days more frequently, it would be like 5 days before I actually sat down with her and she would have changed in that time. And that was heartbreaking. I'm like, your face looks different. You've learned something in that time and you're trying to straddle being a good parent and being present, but also being a really good vet. And I was a vet before I was a parent, but I was like, this kid, I wanted her in this world and I have to make a good human. And how do we set time aside for that? And luckily, I've been really lucky. My husband didn't really love his job at all. And I loved mine so much. So he was a stay-at-home parent for 3 years. And he's really good at that. I came home one day, he was defrosting a chicken in one half of the sink and the other half, he was underneath the sink fixing a leak. And I went, dude, this is why you're so good at this, because I can't cook and I can't do plumbing. So yeah, go you. So, he's a responsible one. He does the school pickups and everything. But on my house call days, guess who gets to? Me. So, before I did house calls, the teachers didn't even know my face. I just, I finished work at 7. School finishes at 3. So I think it's the lovely balance. I think you can still, love your job, but you can also draw a line in the sand and then just be there for your family, which I found has really been a game changer for me.
Wonderful. Wonderful. The more people I speak to and the more people I see who go into house call practice, the more convinced I am that it is really a beautiful way of finding balance if you're parenting and being a vet. That house call practice really has a unique way of allowing both of those to just your cup to be full in both domains and to like really have the ability to be who you want to be in both of those realms. And so that's really beautiful. It always just like makes me smile hearing about people who are parents and have raising children and just like what could be more important than raising a child and watching them grow up and then also taking care of these precious animals that we love so much, and like being able to do both. Like holy shit, that's it, right? That's it. How much better does it get, right?
Exactly. And, I think vets are such passionate people and we don't want to fail at anything. We want to be the straight A student in everything all the time. And that can be to our detriment sometimes. So just simplifying your day or even not all of your day, just part of your week by being able to not finish work after the sun goes down and just taking a moment. And, on the weekend, I still have to I don't have to, I choose to touch base with my house call clients, write them reports, send them stuff. But that's with my kid in the background, stopping to, explain to her about why the grass is green or whatever it is that she wants to know. Today it was, I think, something about the solar system she was talking to my husband about just before she left the school when I logged down to talk to you. But tell me how satellite works. Just being able to stop what you're doing. And I'm working, but I'm working at home. And I never thought that that would be an option for a vet. And that's why, when she was really little, I had that job working with a lovely drug company. And I know it always sounds like it's the dark side, but I could do a 9 to 5. I could work from home when she was, still feeding, and it really worked for me. And I thought I only had two options. One was working for a drug company, which, you got paid to research and be a nerd, which I loved, but I really missed seeing the trees, seeing the puppy, seeing everything and that element of it. And I thought you could be one or the other. But this is a really nice way of said, still having the passion and still being able to be the A+ student and vetting, but also just being able to be an A+, or maybe I'm an A- parent some days. But yeah, it's lovely. It's such a, every day is a bit of an adventure. And, what's that saying? Life is what happens when you're busy making plans, and you don't have to go, well, one day I'll be able to spend time with my kid. No, it's like I can do that on a weekly basis. There'll be a couple of days where I can't, and those days may decrease with time as house calls ramp up, but it's just the day to day, is life, and you got to find the happiness in every day. And I think, house calling is for me part of that, a really big part of it.
Amen. Yeah. And I can feel that. I can feel that sort of like joie de vivre, whatever, that sort of just like joy of life from your presence, like just like what I see online and things like that. So I'm just really excited I got to chat with you and get to know a little bit more about your path and your journey and your practice. And I think this is very, very inspiring. And I think whoever's listening, I hope will get a little spark of inspiration, a little glimmer of hope, and some maybe excitement to either get started with their house call practice or get their house call practice to where they want it to be. And yeah, you had like a little bit of advice for house call vets that might either be in Australia or might not know about certain things in Australia. What's your advice?
Truly Australian experience is if you have, say you're driving back from a house call, the sun is setting. In certain areas, I mean, I'm in a urban environment, but there's still a lot of kangaroos at sunset in certain areas. And there's a road that leads to home. It's about 5 minutes away. And if the sun is setting, sun's in your eye, I have a tiny car, tiny little mini. You have to be careful because there are these kangaroos and they're huge. There's like 6 foot tall kangaroos and they're just bounding across the road. So kangaroo versus mini, I know who's going to come off worse. I have to really just keep my wits about me or try to time my house calls so that I'm home before or after root hour. So that's, it's definitely something to look.
Oh my God, I love that. Okay, so now just humor me. One more question. Do you ever get to work on koalas, or like, do you get to see koalas?
Koalas, I don't think personally. I've done an X-ray on one, but I don't get to see too much. We've got a really great animal hospital around here, Lone Pine, and they do a lot of work with koalas and native wildlife. I have had to help out kangaroos from time to time. And I will say, there was this one time, someone just found this huge kangaroo. It's the same size as me, and it was unconscious. And they brought it in, and this this big burly guy's like, yeah, found a roof, mate. Just kind of left it there. And I'm in between consults, and it's unconscious. And I'm trying to check it over. And I was like, okay, I was trying to get a vein in its tail. And 1 minute I was in front of it. And the next minute I woke up about, I'd say 10, 15 feet across the room on my back. And it had woke up and it kicked me. Luckily not. I wasn't in too much discomfort, but I was literally in a split second on the other side of the room. I'm like, oh, okay, it's awake now. I don't know how I'm going to do anything, but so powerful, those legs. Oh my gosh. So no, apart from being kind of slam dunked, wrestled, I've had a lot of injuries over the 20 years, I'd say. Like I've realized that cats are my species because I've had my nose broken by a 2-ton bull, broke through a crush, threw a steel drum at me. Then I had my big toe broken by a horse that really didn't want to be vaccinated. Yeah, a few kangaroo incidents over time, but nothing too severe. But cats, they're my size of animal. They get me. And I think they look at me and they're like, you're 5 foot tall. You're not an authority figure, most animals, but the cat's like, so.
That's hilarious. I'm 5 feet tall also. Most people, like anytime people have meet me like in person, they're like, oh my God, you're short. I'm like, yes, I'm quite tiny. Fun size, cat size of it.
Economical human. Like we have a smaller carbon footprint. Okay. We're green friendly.
Economical human. I love it. Oh my God. So I'm just really excited I got to chat with you. And I wanted to close up our episode by asking, do you have a favorite beverage? since you are in the House Call Vet Cafe. It can be alcohol, non-alcohol, tea, sugar with tea.
Say a good chai latte for a daytime beverage. And it's called a porn star martini for an evening beverage.
Ooh, what's that?
Based martini, quite popular in the UK. And I've had to make it at home to recreate it because it's so good. It's like, so there's lots of different versions, but there's this one version where you even have like a little shot of Moscato or Prosecco and you can put that in at the end. It's like passion fruit liqueur and I have to send you a recipe. It's amazing.
Please do. Please do. Now I'm excited. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, Dr. Chantal, thank you so much for your insight and sharing your experiences and your love for cats. And can't wait to connect with you next time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the House Call Vet Cafe. If you enjoyed this episode, then hit the subscribe or follow button on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you never have to miss an episode. This podcast is made specifically for you, so don't be shy if you'd like to reach out and let me know your thoughts on this episode. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook as the House Call Vet Academy, where I also share more valuable content. If you're interested in learning more about consulting for House Call Vets or the House Call Vet Academy online course and community, please click on the link in the show notes. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I can't wait for you to join us for our next episode of the House Call Vet Cafe.